Welcome back, superstar traders. This is 𝗦𝗛𝗔𝗥𝗘, the head market analyst and also educator for EQ Markets Global. And I'm super delighted to share this time and space with you every Monday, where we have the weekly market outlook, a time where we share deep market insights into what is going to be happening in the week. And also we look at the trade setups, potential trade setups, and how much money it can be fetching us for the week. Amazing. Last week, we looked at a few pairs which some went away as we analyzed, and some did not. Especially, we looked at gold. Of course, I told you last week I was talking a bit about gold, and I told you that this is only but an inducement. If you remember, for those of you that watched the video, right, I told you that this whole area here is an inducement. And as at the time I was telling you, prices were trading somewhere around here. And I told you that if you look at this area and you feel like prices will go down, you probably would get yourself into a debt trap. So don't enter this area for a sell. If you remember, I told you that. I told you that this inducement holds a lot of liquidity, and liquidity here would be grabbed. So apparently I was looking at this zone, of course, because there was an order block which was valid because there was an imbalance after it. And I was expecting prices to come into this zone, and then we see a massive drop on prices. But, that was not the case, okay? Of course, as well, I also told you guys that for last week as well, yeah, I told you that if prices break above that particular area that I'm looking at, which is this area here, I find another very I find already another valid zone where I'm expecting prices to come into before having a massive sell. Okay, and of course, even if price did not respect our first trade setup, okay, we saw prices come to respect our second trade setup. What is very unique about this trade setup was that I told you that find confirmation at every one of these zones, okay? So if you were actually looking for a confirmation, you would notice that around this zone here, yes, when prices came, we had a confirmation, but of course, the sell order was invalidated as news was released on Wednesday, okay? Remember all the news last week and all that, yeah. The news invalidated our setup and then, of course, activated a second setup, which we still had another confirmation around that zone. All right. So I'll be telling you my bias for gold this week, but that would be in after I've looked at the economic calendar for the week as well. As well, I told you last week that I will be expecting more bullish push on GBP, right? But of course, last week news was a game changer. I mean, last week news was really a game changer, and of course, we saw massive sell instead of the buy that I was expecting for GBP, JPY. The same applied for GBP USD and also Euro USD. So we probably would have took out our stop losses on those trades. But then gold actually went the way we analyzed, and I think one other pair as well. Okay, so this week, let's look at the economic calendar for this week so that we run straight into what we're expecting. But before I look at the economic calendar for this week, I really want to look at last week. Last week was phenomenal in terms of all the high impact expected news, right? I knew for sure that there would be lots of volatilities, but I never knew it was going to be breaking structures and eating stop losses. But yeah, last week was one of a kind, okay, one of a kind. All right, so let's quickly look at last week. Let's have a recap of what happened last week. So yes, last week on Tuesday we had the monetary policy meeting for the Aussie. Okay, we had a monetary policy meeting for the Aussie, and of course that the outcome of that meeting I really do not have data for at the moment. We also have some CPI data that came out 1:30 p.m. for the Canadian dollar. Okay, and of course a 1 year and 5 year loan prime rate for the Chinese yuan. And of course on Wednesday 7 a.m. we started with the CPI for the GBP. That's where our trouble began. Of course we saw lower CPI data compared to what was forecasted, and of course compared to what we saw the previous month, 6.8, we saw 6.7. Of course, that's where our problem began for the GBP, and then GBP began to weaken. Okay, more problem came on Thursday when, of course, we had the official bank rate review of course, by the Monetary Policy Committee, right here. We had more problems. We ran into more problems here. I'm coming. We ran into more problems here, 12 p.m. on Thursday, when, of course, we had the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. And, of course, the votes were bad. Interest rates that were expecting a 25 basis point interest rate hike did not happen. And it remained at 5.25%, right? Look at it. We're expecting a 25 basis point interest rate hike from what it was before, 5.25% to 5.50%. But of course, this did not happen, and we saw interest rates remained at 5.25%. Of course, that had a very negative impact on GBP, and we saw GBP crashing to the rock bottom. GBP went rock bottom. And of course, look at the votes. It was forecasted that we're going to be having at least 7 votes in favor of the interest rate hike, and of course, 0 against the interest rate hike, and 2 abstentions. But what did we see? We rather saw 4 votes in favor of interest rate hike of 25 basis points, 0 against it, but 5 in abstentions. I mean, that was a game changer. So it simply means that even if we have 4 votes out of the committee, okay, remember it's a 9-man panel committee. So even if we saw 4 votes in favor of interest rate hike, but 5 people were in abstention, that did not really go well for the increase of the interest rate hike. And of course, that's why we saw the interest rate hike remained at 5.25%. And of course, we saw that adverse effect on GBP. Our troubles for us that traded GBP last week was kind of many. But of course, that's part of the trading, and we go again this week. All right. So also we saw FOMC last week. We also saw FOMC last week as well. For all of us that were thinking that the Federal Reserve, okay, Jerome Powell and his team are also going to increase interest rate hike. Of course, we did not really see that happen. And that's why we saw interest rate hike still remain 5.5% on the United States dollar. And of course, there was also Federal Open Market Committee meetings and rejections. And of course, all of those came out, the data based on what we saw came out in favor of the United States dollar, and we kept seeing the United States dollar going all the way to the top. Yeah, more so also on Thursday, we saw from the Swiss National Bank, their monetary policy assessment rate, okay? And of course, that came out negative. We were expecting a 25 basis point interest rate hike, but what we saw was a report that did not favor the interest rate hike. And of course, interest rate hike remained at 1.75%. A lot of people were anticipating an interest rate hike, but that did not happen, unfortunately. And of course, we saw a large movement on CHF. If you look at GBP, GBP CHF, there was a large buy there. If you look at CHF JPY, especially with CHF JPY, I think a student called my attention to CHF JPY after that news happened. Yeah, after that news happened. On Thursday, you can see that this was on Thursday, 21st September, and we saw this large sell-off. Of course, it was a negative impact that it caused on the CHF. All right. So last week again, we saw unemployment claims came out positive for the United States dollar. Of course, these are the things that contributed to the DXY having a massive bullish move last week. Okay. So from the previous data, we saw about 221,000 people claiming they don't have jobs. So it was forecasted that 224,000, about that range, were going to claim that they don't have jobs. But unfortunately, what we saw were data far lower than this. And of course, lower data when we talk about unemployment claims is actually causing more bullish move, or more, it supports more bullish move for the currency that is involved. And then, of course, on Friday, we ended with a lot of PMIs, okay, a lot of flash services PMI, flash manufacturing PMI across Euro, GBP, and of course the USD. So these were the things that happened last week. Let's quickly look at what we're expecting this week. This week also has a handful of data that we should be looking at. Today being Monday, we've already experienced the JPY news, okay? We've already experienced the JPY, the Bank of Japan, the governor of the Bank of Japan giving a speech, and then of course we've also seen a positive report for the German IFO business climate meeting. All right, by 3 p.m. on Tuesday, we will also be expecting consumer confidence from the USD, okay, from the United States. On Wednesday, CPI data for the Aussie, and then of course, on Thursday, we're going to be having the final unemployment claims, final GDP for the USD. Remember last week we saw one unemployment claims, and of course, next week in preparation, we're going to also see, I think, some more unemployment claims or thereabout, and then the NFP finally for next week Friday. All right, so prepare yourself, brace up, fund your accounts, and let's milk the market next week Friday. Yeah, so final GDP, another unemployment claims, and then by 9 p.m. we'll be having 𝗟𝗜𝗞𝗘 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗏, the chairman of the Federal Reserve of the United States, give a speech. And then on Friday, we will also be having some handful of informations like the consumer sentiment, and then of course the core PCE and GDP for the Canadian dollar. All right, so these are the few informations or reports that impact that we will be expecting this week. Not so much compared to last week, but of course, there are a handful of them. Let's quickly look at what we have for this week. Let's quickly look at what we have for this week. Starting with the DXY. Starting with the DXY, DXY has actually been trading around our significant level. Sorry, let this come up. All right, so yes, the XY has actually been trading around this significant zone here. Let's look at it first on the daily time frame. Okay, let's look at it on the daily time frame. Yes. On the daily time frame here, we can see that prices have come back to this supply zone here around this area. But apparently, I would be looking instead at this other block, okay? I'll be looking at anything that is going to favor price movement into this other block before I would know what next to be doing on USD, okay? So these other blocks stretched out is what I'll be looking at. But currently, price is trading around this supply zone here. Remember, there is a supply around here, all right? Remember that there is a supply around here. So this is the area where I'll be looking out for. That's one of the areas I'll be looking at, most likely asking myself what is going to be happening. But more importantly, the area I'll be looking out for prices to come into is particularly this other block that I have mapped out in the past, okay? So it simply means that we might probably still see more bullish push on the XY, okay? We might probably still see more bullish push on the XY, right? I'm expecting it to come back into somewhere around 106.814 to around 106.151. That's what I'm expecting the dollar index to come into. So more bullish movement for the dollar index. If you're trading this week, I need you to be extremely careful. More bullish movement for the dollar index. That simply means that we probably would be seeing more bearish movement for GBPUSD, okay? And of course, to prove that, I've also mapped out some amazing zones that we should be looking at on GBPUSD, right? I'm not giving you a trade signal yet. I'm not giving you any trade setup yet, but I'll be marking out some important zones that you should be looking at on GBPUSD and probably on EURUSD as well. Okay, so on GBPUSD, prices broke below our trend line, which we were expecting that it was going to act as a break and retest zone, but prices broke below that with all the GBP news and all the USD news that happened last week, right? So this particular area is the new area where I'm looking at. One, there is another block, there is an imbalance after it. So I'm expecting prices to actually make some consolidation around here or make some reversals around here. But my confidence on this price reversing around here is more like 40 to 50%, not so well. Okay, so below that, I can also see another order block, and this is another block that I feel is more valid than the previous one I actually showed to you. And because of course there was a proper imbalance and market gap that came after it. You can see that this is not really a market gap. Okay, what's this called? I've forgotten what it is called. Right, this is really not a market gap. Okay, there's a name called for it. There's a name actually for it, but I've forgotten that name. Very probably when it comes to my mind, I'll drop it. Yeah. So yes, I consider this a more valid order block. So I'm expecting that most likely GBP USD might still see more bearish movement into this zone before. Sorry. Okay, let me take this out. So I'm expecting that GBP USD might still see more bearish push into at least 1.20874, or well below that, we might come into 1.20325, anywhere around this zone before I would be seeing a bullish push to the upside. So I'm not giving any trade setup. What I want you to do is put your eyes on these zones that I've given to you, and also find confirmations around that zone. The second zone, which is this area that I'm giving to you, the zone runs from 1.21, okay, 1.21680, okay, 1.21680 to around 1.20371, 1.20371. Those are the zones that I am expecting prices of GBP USD to come into before having a confirmation for a bullish push. On Euro USD, let's quickly look at Euro USD. On Euro USD as well, I've marked out a good zone where we should be looking out for an opportunity. All right, so let me quickly scale down to the 4-hourly time frame so that we can see that together. Okay. So on Euro USD, currently price is trading somewhere at around 1. Let me get that exactly. So price is trading currently at around 1.06351. Okay, that's on Euro USD. So I am expecting a little sell-off as well on Euro USD. I'm expecting a little sell-off on Euro USD before prices will be making its way back to the top. All right, and that's because of the zone that I have actually spotted out here. Okay, that's because of the zone that I have spotted out here. So on this zone here, I noticed that there's a fair value gap here. If you watch closely, right? I don't want to really consider this other block stretched out, okay? Let me just have it marked out. This is the other block line at 1.05298. But I want to consider this fair value gap. I want to believe that prices will be able to consolidate around this fair value gap and before going to the upside. So this is exactly what I'm looking at on Euro USD. Right, this is exactly what I'm looking at on Euro USD. I don't really see it falling down to 1.05298, but I see it falling down at least into 50% of that fair value gap, which is like 1.05835. Right, and around that zone we can be expecting some bullish push to the upside. Okay, maybe a complete reversal, so to say. So we look for confirmations as well. So that's my bias on Euro USD and GBP USD. I told you I'll give you more my bias as well on gold. Don't go anywhere, right? I've got an amazing setup that could fetch you money this week, right? Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, right? Stay till the end of the video. All right. So on GBP USD, since this first zone we looked at was invalidated, let's take that out. And then, of course, our second zone was very much valid. We had a sniper entry. In fact, if we are taking our trade on this, our second zone, we would probably be running in about 2,400. Let me look at it. We'll probably be running in 2,440 pips profits on gold. 2,440 pips profit on gold. And this is our final take profit, okay? This is our final take profit. Our final take profit is somewhere at around 1904. So we'll be, it's currently trading at 1922, 1922, right? So we will be expecting more sell, all right? I am more sell biased as well, okay? I'm expecting the market to make more sell moves before we could look for more opportunities, maybe on buy and all that. But I'm expecting a more sell push on gold for this week, not another trade setup again. So yes, I have come to the end of these my buyers. I want to give you the trade setup for this week. So I have two amazing setups on two currency pairs that I think have greater potential to make you profit for this week. But before I tell you those two pairs, their setups, I need you to give this video a thumbs up just now, right? You can just do that very quickly. Give this video a thumbs up. And as well, don't forget, leave your comment for me in the comment section. I really appreciate your comment. All right. And more than that, you can also sign up and create a live trading account with Equity. Equity is our #1 recommended broker because of their proper regulations, their good market conditions for traders, and a host of many others I won't be able to take all in this video. All right. But I need you to go create an account. Of course, that's the only way you can get an access to our free mentorships. You can get access to the use of the smart trading tools. That's also the only way you can get access to a lot of opportunities that is found on the EQ Markets Global page. All right. So look for the link in the description below, or simply go to www.eqmarketsglobal.com, and then you'll be able to sign up an account. If you've done that, amazing. The last thing I need you to do for me is click on the subscription icon if you're new, and then toggle on the notification bell, put it at all, so you get notified every single time we put up amazing content just like this one. So I guess you want to see the assets, right? Just give me a second. I would tell you about it. Just a second. All right, so I'm back very quickly, right? So the first asset and the setup I want to give you is NZDCAD, all right? So NZDCAD, where are you? Okay, you're needed now. Yep, and this is NZDCAD. So I am actually expecting a bearish retracement on NZDCAD, but a bullish move on it. Okay, I'm expecting a big bullish push on NZDCAD this week. But first, we're going to be experiencing a bearish retracement, then a bullish push. Now, let me show you why I said that. Okay, now let's make that analysis together so we can determine our entry zones, our stop losses, and many more that we want to be looking at. So on NZDCAD, first to start with, we've actually been seeing a massive sell opportunity that had always come down from that had been coming down from this particular high at 0.84273, right? So we were able to also spot this particular zone here as our point of interest, right? Because of this other block, right? So you can see that. So prices actually came into that other block and tapped into it last week. Last week or last 2 weeks, I think I made mention of this. Prices tapped into the other block, and we had a massive push to the upside. That's on the 4-hourly time frame. Still on the 4-hourly time frame, yeah. What I also noticed again was a change of character, right? A change of character. So prices moved this way here, right? Prices moved this way here, and of course this was the last low. Okay, you can see lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then of course we had another lower low here. But apparently this low here was effectively cleared out from here. So this is a change of character. And of course, instead of creating a lower low, we saw higher low. So it simply means that price has actually done the failure swing zone here, right? There is the whole failure swing zone here, the change of character, and all the stuff that we need to look at, right? So basically, I'll be expecting more bullish push. And of course, for me to want to know where prices will most likely retrace into before we're going to take our buy, I can use my Fibonacci to run from point A here to point B here. And of course, I'll be expecting prices to fall down into between the 0.5% fib level to around the 61.8 fib level. And of course, that falls somewhere around here, okay? So I'll be expecting a bearish movement into this zone before prices going to the upside, right? So that's what I'll be expecting, a bearish movement into this zone. This will be the proper zone for me to want to take a bullish trade, okay? So to also validate that, you can notice that there is a kind of like another block here, a kind of like little bearish candle. Okay, let's look at that together on the 1 hourly time frame. Okay, so to further claim that, you can see there is another block here, there is imbalance afterwards, so we're expecting a bearish push to this downside, and of course we're going to be taking our buy trade setup. All right, so for our buy trade setup, I would advise that you find entries around these zones that I'm marking out for you. All right, so this is 1:3. Let's be conservative. Or else we can have our take profit run all the way to this top. But let's first of all use this new recent top that is here. That is this zone here, right? So this presents us with a good 1:3 risk to reward. All right. So buy NZDCAD. All right, buy NZDCAD. My entry is sorry, let's see that. Let me type that out. Buy NZDCAD for those of you that will probably be asking. Right, my entry is around. Okay, my entry is around 0.79896, right? And then of course the stop loss, will be let's allow our trade to breathe very well. So that will be 79690, 0.79690. And then of course our take profit is going to be somewhere around 0.80510, 0.80510. And of course, this is presenting us with a good 1:3 risk to reward, right? So this is presenting us with a good 1:3 risk to reward. So you can take out these data. This would be a buy limit order, okay? This would be a buy limit order. And then if prices get to this zone, amazing. The next I want to give to us, all right, another amazing setup that I would want us to look at is GBPAUD. All right, so on GBPAUD as well, I'm expecting a bullish push. All right, I'm expecting a bullish drive to happen on GBPAUD. So this is it on the daily time frame. Let me show to us. But GBPAUD is kind of like a bit technical, right? Because we might see this zone breakout. Okay, we might see prices break out from this zone. Of course, if it breaks out from this zone, then this zone is now invalidated. We are going to see more sell. Okay, so we have to be very careful to ensure that we find confluence or confirmation around that zone before we take on our trade. But then basically on the weekly time frame, this is a massive bearish movement that we are actually looking at, right? This is a massive bearish movement that we're actually looking at. If you look at it as well, even on the monthly time frame, right? This is what we can find on the monthly time frame, right? Although it's in a bullish dominant trend, okay, bullish dominant zone, but we're yet to apparently see confirmation for a sell on the monthly time frame. But of course, let's not even go there. Let's remain on the weekly and the daily time frame, and then see how we can find opportunities on the 4-hourly time frame. So yes, on the weekly time frame, there's a massive sell confirmation and prices have been selling. But why I'm looking out for a buy opportunity, it's actually going to be a short-term buy opportunity. All right, if it happens, we're going to be catching at least 1:3 as well, because this zone here was a support area. All right, you can see the trend line, and then again the trend line was respected as support. So apparently I'm expecting the same trend line to touch the third time. All right, that notwithstanding, already we can also see a kind of like an order block here. And of course, that other block, I wouldn't say is so much valid because there is no proper imbalance after it, okay? But it's still another block. So around this zone, it coincides with the trend line that we're looking at for a bullish opportunity to occur. All right, so that gives me a second confirmation or confidence. So I scale down to the 4-hourly time frame, and on the 4-hourly time frame, what I notice is that already there is a bullish confirmation using the commodity channel index. There's already a bullish confirmation using the commodity channel index. So what I would be doing is to find the right place to want to enter the market. Although I've not seen break of structure, or I've not seen change of character and their likes, okay, I have really not seen, but I have the feeling that this is going to be a very, very good one. So yes, I am looking at this particular block here. I'm looking at this particular block here for prices to come properly into this block here. And then this is on the 15 minutes time frame actually. So I'm looking at this block here, and then prices rallying to the upside, okay? Prices rallying to the upside on this block. So I'll be buy biased on this block, right? I'll be buy biased on this block, right? My stop loss, I can allow my, since I know it's a risky trade, I can allow my stop loss to actually breathe very well, all right? I can allow my stop loss to breathe very well. And then, of course, my take profit can be stretched. This is not a nice risk to reward, but my take profit can be stretched at least into the next point of interest, which is somewhere around here, right? So this will present me with a nice 1:2.88 risks to reward, okay? Nice 2.88 risks to reward. That's what I will be expecting to happen on GBPAUD. So let's again take the entry price for GBPAUD. You can enter GBPAUD at the current market price, or you probably would want to wait for confirmations on the 15 minutes time frame to buy. But then the entries are 1.90063. That is still a buy limit, 1.90066. Okay. The stop loss, we can have the stop loss at 1.89703. 1.89703. Let me check how many pips that is on the stop loss. Right, it's about 36 pips thereabout. Okay, 36 pips thereabout. But then our take profit is let's check our take profit. It should be up to 90 pips or thereabout. So our take profit is about 105 pips. 105 pips while we're risking about 36. All right, so have your entry at again, I repeat, have your entry at 1.90066. Your stop loss, have your stop loss at around 1.89700, and then of course our final take profit at 1.91119. All right, so these are my trade setups for this week. NZDCAD by GBPAUD by. All right, so thank you so much. Leave your thoughts for me in the comment section, and I hope to read them and reply to them. Thank you so much. My name remains 𝗦𝗛𝗊𝗔, Head Market Analyst for EQ Markets Global, and see you next week, Monday.